to actually meet young Malaysians. In COP28, as far as I know, there might be younger Malaysians, but the youngest Malaysian who spoke on the stage was a 12-year-old boy. You know, I didn't know what I was doing at 12 years old. I didn't have that opportunity, or neither did I think that I would be interested in this. But so we have a lot of young people who are also very much passionate about this. So I thought that the best way for me is to also be able to tell the story about what we need to do and why is it important for us to protect our planet. Climate change, but also to protect nature and to protect the environment as a whole. Because often we believe that just by having the scientific facts alone is enough for us to win the argument. But politicians all know that that's not the case. Simply by having facts on your side, it's not enough. What is important and what is crucial is to be able to tell the story right. How do you capture the imagination of the public? And obviously when you go into a sector where there's this glossary of alphabet soups that, you know, people struggle to understand, it's not easy. The challenge and the battle is to be able to make everyone relate to what you're talking about. And people understand actually. Everyone is affected by floods. I go to villages, they say never in their lifetime have they experienced floods as bad as this year. So, for example, when I met someone, I just came back from Kelantan, they said when they wanted to park their car when the water was rising, the collective memory is that even in the worst flood of 1967, that this field was not affected. So they put their cars there. But this time around, the waters actually reached that level. So people can understand that we are not facing something that is normal. As I like to say that even last year, if you read the news, 1,500 people died in the Holy Land in Mecca during the Hajj season because of heat-related illnesses. And that is a huge, huge number. Obviously, we know that, you know, it's always hot, that people do die from heat strokes and whatnot, but this was an astoundingly big number. And even in our country, we have cases where Malaysians die from heat strokes, particularly young children. And this is something that we don't often hear, but now we see it from year to year. So that is why for me, this idea of being able to communicate, being able to narrate this, is something that is crucial. And I learned so many things from reading, from talking to people, from going down to the ground. And I try my best to put it in this book and to be able to make it as relatable as possible. And my mission is that if there's a future minister who will be in charge of this portfolio, who comes from a law background like I was, then they can pick up a book that can give them a primer, a basic primer of what it takes, of what needs to be understood when you want to be in charge of this portfolio. That was my mission. I don't know whether it can meet that objective or not, but that is certainly what I attempt to do. Because I've written many books, but this is the first book that's actually in the general sciences section of Kinokuniya. Right? So it's I don't know, right? I mean, in a way, it's a point of pride, but it also makes me a bit nervous when you see the real experts out there and they try to go through the book. But I did share the first drafts for them to go through and to give their talk. At the end of the day, having gone through this and reading all the stuff about the challenges that we face, it boils down to the fact that what we are facing is not about science, it's not about economics, and it's not that much about politics, in fact. It's actually an issue of morality and ethics. And I think that is where this quote by this American environmentalist, Gus Speth, and he said that, after many years, he used to think that the problem of the planet was about biodiversity loss, was about pollution, was about climate change. But then he came to realize that it was all about greed and apathy. And this is where we scientists, not me, right? He's saying that we scientists and lawyers do not have the answers to this. So I think this is where we need to reflect. And once you go through, I had the honor of talking to a few scholars. I met the former Grand Mufti of Egypt, Sheikh Ali Jum'ah, in Cairo last year. Then Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad from Cambridge gave a talk in Bank Negara. And they were talking about the environment. And while we may listen to these things mentioned in sermons or in talks, but it's not spoken enough, I think. Because the lessons, whether it's from Islam or Christianity, the Pope has written a lot about this, for example, and you can see that in other Christian traditions as well, in Buddhism, in Hinduism. All the religions talk about the morality aspect of that man, we have to be responsible and we are accountable to a higher code, to a higher cause. It's not just about our greed. And as Mahatma Gandhi famously said, the world is enough for everyone's need, but it is not enough for everyone's greed. And that is the problem that we are facing. And when you look at that aspect of morality, that is why the issue of justice, planetary justice, is also important. Because it's not enough to say that let's stop doing this or let's stop doing that without looking at the background of the fact that Malaysia, the developing world as a whole, we've just started to develop over the past few decades. The developed world has had the privilege, the luxury of not only exploiting their resources, but also our resources. And they have attained this level of development. And this level of development is what the whole world wants to be part of. They want to enjoy the same level of development. And as a result, we see that we are going to face a crisis if we do not do things differently. Malaysia, for example, the current government, we have set our target for net zero to be latest by 2050, and that is a big target. We are putting a lot of ambitious targets in terms of energy transition, in terms of conserving our forests, and so on and so forth. But if the principle of planetary justice is not observed, you will not be able to get enough support from the rest of the developing world so that everyone can play their part in order to protect the planet. That is the challenge. So that has to be emphasized, and that has been our stand throughout in all the international conferences. That was the gist of the Prime Minister's speech when he spoke at the UN General Assembly for the first time as Prime Minister in 2023. And we will continue to hold on to that principle closely. But at the end of the day, there is the danger that you can face two segments of society. One are those who deny the existence of climate change. That one is, I guess, that one is a bit hard for us to convince them. But you also have those who know and accept the science of climate change, but they feel that we don't have enough time, or they feel that we can't do much. So we might as well just accept our fate, resign to our fate, and enjoy what we have left with this planet. But that's not true, because we know that we have this opportunity at this point of time to save our planet. And if at the end of my book I actually spoke about this, the best example is that if we've inherited a home. You know, for many generations, our forefathers, our parents have been able to take care of this heirloom, this home, very well. They pass it down to us. But when it comes to our time and we see it burning, it does not make sense for us not to, obviously, one, to try and extinguish the fire. But worst case, we save ourselves, our family, by leaving the house. Because that is the most important part, self-preservation. But when you're talking about this planet, unfortunately, there is no planet B. I don't think Elon Musk has figured out to create a new planet for every one of us here today. So we need to be able to take care of this planet. And if you look at the science, we have this window of opportunity to act. And that, I think, is the biggest tragedy of it all. If with this window of opportunity, we continue to bicker, we continue to deny, and we do not do enough. And we have seen lessons from the past, whether it was fighting lead poisoning, whether it was about protecting the ozone layer. We managed to succeed because the world acted together. So today, when it comes to protecting nature, fighting climate change, and to protect our environment, I remain an optimist that if everyone, mankind as a whole, can work together, we'll be able to do that. So I won't be able, I don't want to say too much, because or not, you might not buy the book. So the rest you can buy and read from the book. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your support. And I would like to personally record my thanks first to my Secretary General, Dr. Chin Tu, and the entire team at NRES, because I've been fortunate to have a wonderful team in the ministry that I said, you know, it makes my job much easier. I also have a wonderful team in my minister's office, a team that has also been able to help me to do my job well and also to work on this book. And obviously support from the activists who have, you know, they have been my biggest critics, but they also, you know, they give me good ideas, good lessons, and I always try my best to keep an open channel to all members of civil society, because I've been on the other side before, right? So I understand your frustrations, your concerns, and I try my best to accommodate. As with regards to the businesses as well, I want you to be part of the solution, right? And I know that, you know, I think most of the big corporations understand and need to do this. They understand that it's not about greenwashing. We have to do this right. So we really have to work together in order to achieve all these objectives. And of course, to my family, I think my wife, my parents, I really appreciate the support that they've given me, and particularly my parents, they've always reminded me about standing for what's right, for what I believe, and lastly, to read a lot of books. That's what my mother and father have taught me for many years, and I think that has sort of rubbed into me and made me into the reader and the writer that I am today. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who's supporting the launch of Savin the Planet today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to YB. Thank you for inspiration and for sharing your insights today, and also through your book. It's great to see the support that we have from your family here today. Puan Farah, your wife is here, and also your mother and your sisters. And I understand that your mother is still reading books up till today, so she's not making age a hindrance. A very good example to us all, the younger ones, who's always saying that we're too busy, giving that excuse to read. But today is the reason why we should start picking up the habit again. Thank you again very much. Now we're going to move on to our next segment of today.